Okay, this tutorial is about block letters, like so, for my protest sign, if you guys are participating in that protest sign assignment. So, to start, I like to put, and for this one I did a little blocking out first. I drew squares for where all of my letters were going to go. That way I could see, are they going too close to the margins? Is it evenly spaced? Should some letters be closer together? I think drawing things out with squares first is also helpful for kind of gauging where the vanishing point is going to be. So let's say I was doing the words act. I have my letters, I have my vanishing point, and you could do it where you draw your letter first. There's the A, and it goes back to this vanishing point at each corner. Same as with the other boxes and the other exercises that we've done. Okay, top corner is pretty self-explanatory, and these bottom corners. Then I can just erase this little box guideline. It's not going to be that helpful to me now. And then back here, this one doesn't need to be there really either. Okay, and this bottom one. They're really more of like a spacing guideline. Okay, and then this corner down here, I treat it just like as if every corner and every edge is just like the box exercise we were doing in last week's class. So that corner has to go to the back. This corner would go to the back, but if this is an opaque shape, we wouldn't see that vanishing line. Right? So it's about sizing up which vanishing lines you can see, which ones you can't. And that one's barely even visible in that little window of the A. And then I just take this horizontal line, make that horizontal line, just like with the box. And then this is going to be just like with the triangular prism. You're going to do your little parallel diagonal line. You want those two lines to be parallel to each other. Cool. And then I could do my C and my T. I find that boxes just really help to like set up the size and the spacing of your letters. It's like a way of organizing. And then the C's, I could leave it boxy or I could make it rounded by just rounding out those corners. And then connecting each place where there would be a corner of a box to the back. Technically this is a corner. And that's the tricky thing with these like curved lines is it's not quite clear. So you kind of have to pretend that they're squares. If that makes sense. Just try to treat every edge like it's a corner. And I'll show you what I mean in a second when I do the G and the Q. Okay, so I connect those back lines. Da, 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 da. Every corner to every side gets that same treatment. Da, da, da. There you go. And consider, like, would I be able to see the line for that if I connected it to the vanishing point? No. Would I be able to see the line for that if I connected to the vanishing point? No. If I did it from below, then yeah, I definitely would. It's all about, being thorough and being honest and like, you can, ooh, what did I do there? You can like gauge. If it's not looking right, go back in and check the perspective lines again. But yeah, everything should just connect diagonally to this vanishing point. And then horizontally, which aligns with your shape. Cool. And that's how you do. It's a really quick one. For something that's like curved, like a G. So there's a couple things I will do for those. I'm going to use a blue pen for this. So I have my horizon line, vanishing point, a little box to shape my G. And if you keep your like more round shapes, like a G or like a Q or an S, if you keep them kind of boxy like this, it makes it a lot easier when you're starting out. The more advanced you get, the more you might want to like think about putting them into curves. And I'm not going to connect all the way back to my vanishing point on these because I can kind of like, I can see it without making my pen go all the way back to it. If you guys want to practice that way too, you can. It's just easier when I'm working with pen to do it, but I think working with pencil, it's a really good idea to get used to going all the way back to that vanishing point. Okay, then I do the horizontal lines. And then this is the tricky part because it's like, okay, this corner counts, but you can't really see it if the line goes back, right? What about this? Is this a corner? Yeah, it is a corner. So you would go all the way back to the vanishing point. And then your horizontal line, or vertical line there. I couldn't see this corner if it went all the way back to the vanishing point. Neat. And this edge doesn't need to. It's not really like a corner. But we can assume that this edge does extend back here, just like this edge extends back here. Like this is a chunk of the block. Yeah, sometimes I like to think of these block letters as literally like blocks. And you're just carving out little spaces of it to make the shape of a letter. So what would that leftover area, that surface area, look like, and how much of it would show? Okay. We'll do one more curvy letter, because this one I didn't go ahead and turn into, or I didn't leave it really blocky. I went and made it very curved. So, sorry guys, the fires are really making my lungs nasty. Okay, so I have my Q. There's the Q. And then I do exactly what I did with the cylinder, where the circle has its lines that go back to the vanishing point. I call them vanishing lines. I don't think anyone else does. And then you try to get the curve line exactly the same in the back as the front. And one way to do that is to eyeball it. Another way to do that is to go from the midpoint and just make a line. And then that kind of serves as a good little guideline. And then I just think about, treat each one of these corners as an important part of the block. And move my ruler so it connects to the vanishing point. Here's another corner down here. Could I see this going to the vanishing point? No. Could I see this corner going to the vanishing point? No. If it were a transparent Q, yeah. Can I see this corner going back to the vanishing line? Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and make that line. Oops. There we go. And then this edge is a little bit tricky because there's not really a corner, but this edge is still totally visible. So you could either eyeball it and just go, all right, I'm going to mimic the curvature of this, or you can connect it back to the vanishing point, and you can do this with pencil. And you can make these lines that score out the area you would see. So I've made these marks, and you can't actually see it, so screw it, I'm going to use a pen. Okay, so I'm just making these as guidelines for how much surface area I need to be showing. Okay, and then I just make a curved line that matches up, ooh, that's not a great example, with this curved line. And then this kind of determines how thick your shape is going to be. So this goes pretty far back. It's going to be pretty thick. So that means this part inside here, inside the Q, that's also going to go back further. If I wanted to make it like a shallower little block Q, the line would be there, the line would be there, and you want to, again, mimic this sort of diagonal lines and make it parallel. And then this, also a diagonal line, so you want to make that diagonal. And then this one down here, it's still pretty shallow. That's pretty shallow. Yeah, cool. So yeah, it's just really about thinking about where the parallel lines are and where the vertical lines are, where the horizontal lines are, and where the diagonal lines are. So get to practicing, and we'll talk if you need help.